further in terms of the contents, and it's going to be just like that. We forgot to do something on Wednesday. Yeah, voting. So we're going to do it tonight, but no, we have to wait until everyone has come to the class. So what I try to cover today is to give you the overview of everything that you need to be able to understand before going to the exam room. So the exam will be conducted. So the exam will be on next Wednesday. Next Wednesday from 6 to 9 p.m. As I mentioned earlier, you cannot be late that much, but I recommend not coming to the class late at all. It takes time to finish the exam. So it's 6 to 9, 50 minutes late will be fine. More than that, you have to do something with the documentation and many other things. But after 30 minutes, you have got no chance to enter the room anymore. So that's the regulations of the university. So, any questions about the exam at all? Yes, please. Which room? The exam, do you know? They're not done yet, so let me ask maybe the exam room. So the exam will be 206,
That's this room.
Building 8. Building 8. The building of our normal class on the second floor. So our class is on the third floor, right? So it's on the second floor, 206. A large room. So next week. So you have to take 2 exams, right, next week?
3.
3 exams altogether. So the first one is on a Tuesday. Which one is that? Economics, and then marketing, and then accounting.
The next week.
Fine. So it's like difficult, easy, difficult. It's super difficult, very easy, super difficult in general. So as I mentioned, 5 to 6 is the short essay questions, and you need about 2 hours and a half to finish everything. Okay. So that sounds fine. Please.
So last you said it's always the answer for the question, so the 1.5 pages.
About 2 pages.
But pages like this?
It's a small one. It's smaller. So
Alright.
smaller.
Okay.
Is pencil okay?
This is fine. Anything is fine. But if it is attemptedly, it's different. Totally different. Attemptedly with the pencil. And she sent you the message individually, and she did it before. Sometimes your handwriting happened to be not that nice, so she sent out the message individually saying that your handwriting is not that good, and it will be the barrier of your success in life. It's barrier of your success in life. I suggest you to change your style of handwriting and your attitude of writing something out. Wonderful, very customized, very customized.
I'll buy it.
That's what I'm doing. So, anything else about the exam at all? So I wish you good luck. And you've done a good job anyway in terms of the presentation. To make revisions and the score, your points, I mean your score for the presentation part will be just fine. Then it's the exam now. Right? I cannot help you in terms of the exam, it's just the exam. Right? So it's you yourself. And once again, the book is fine as the reference, but the important part is something that we actually discussed so far in our class, right? And with Ajahn Police as well. So, anything that you like to talk about tonight, the last bit. So we're going to combine everything. So the first half of the semester, what we need you to understand, as you can see, not much about strategy yet, but you have done a good job in terms of presentation. I have not expected it. Right? So if you actually you went beyond my expectation. It's not the full, I haven't talked about the 4Ps, 4Cs, and then the product strategy, pricing strategy, promotional strategy that much, but you try very hard to come up with some, and they are wonderful. Right? But the main part of the first half of the semester is going to be about analysis and understanding customers. Right? And for that part, if you missed it, I write down and I gave you the feedback right away that more analysis please, and then customer orientation please for some groups, right? And that's the main part of the first semester, the first half of the semester, and the reason why I put a lot of focus on the notion of customer centricity and analysis for the environment. So, and we have done the first part of the semester. We started out, if you remember, we started out by talking about all the Adman Awards. And we discussed quite a lot about each campaign, and we learned from the campaigns themselves. Right? And then we move on to the next bit, which is the overview of marketing, so everything marketing, right, in general. And then we drill down to something around marketing, which is called environment, the marketing environment, macro and micro environments. Then we move on a little bit more to the next bit, which is about MIS, marketing information system. So that really quickly came and talked about marketing research and information in the marketing field. Then it's time to talk about consumer behavior, the black box theory, right? And then we move on to the next part, which is STP, segmentation, targeting, and positioning. And then we did the presentation methods. And then it's time to talk about everything in summary tonight. So let's talk about the Ajahn Police bit. So just to give you what I expect you to have in the exam, and what I expect you to understand and know before going to the exam room in terms of marketing information system and consumer behavior. So for marketing information system, so in terms of marketing, there are 3 steps for marketing information system: accessing, developing, and distributing. You try to access the information, access to the information, and then once you've got the information or data in place, it's time to make it better by developing. And once you have got good data set or good information in place, it's time to distribute it. So it's assessing, developing, and distributing. And under developing methods, you have got 4 tools. Internal database, marketing intelligence, marketing research, and information analysis. And Ajahn Kunpali talked quite a lot. I discussed with her before, and then she told me that she mentioned quite a lot about marketing research method. Anything at all that you can remember in terms of marketing research or anything else? So this is the main part of the system of marketing information. So anything that you can remember at all? MIA stands for marketing intelligence. In general, the first step is you try to understand things about
I'm sorry, what does IA stand for?
sorry?
IT.
In information analysis. I think it's in the second slide of Ajahn Kunpali's. Is it? I don't know.
Would you like to
Can you
check?
take a look?
Yes, of course.
Right here. Maybe it's not the second.
Slide 13. That's the most important slide. So for each chapter, you might need to understand the most important model, right? And the most important model of marketing information system is on slide 13. So this one. In this slide, you see people use the 4 tools interchangeably. And that's the reason why you might see 2 hit arrows around. And that's the reason why then Ajahn talked about marketing research quite a lot. Just one of them, the main part of the tools is marketing research. So in general, what happens? So it tells you, do not go for marketing research first. There are many tools for you to use to develop your data. But for me, first thing first, if I need some data, what I need to do is to look at the first tool is ID, internal database. So try to understand something inside first. Do not hire anyone. It's costly, right? If we got some good information inside the company, why do we have to go for marketing research? It's pricey and it takes time. Then it's marketing intelligence, and the term intelligence here means news. Something that you found in public. So it's not intelligence like smart. Just like CIA. The letter I stands for intelligence, so it's information, but in a better way. Right? So something that you can find in public. So do not hire anyone yet. So news, blog, right? Annual report of your competitors. Right? Many other things that you can actually find your information. If the information in public can answer your question, you don't really have to spend your money at all. Then it's time, if the public information cannot help, so it's time to go for marketing research and then to spend your money for marketing research. Right? So step by step, just like this. And then marketing research takes time. Okay, and then if you combine all the data you've got, and then you analyze it again, and then it's what we call information analysis, so IA. And in the marketing world, many times we talked about CRM, customer relationship management, and that's the type, because that's one type of IA, information analysis, where you got all the information together and then you try to analyze it, then you try to make it better in terms of satisfying customers' needs. So CRM, customer relationship management. One type of IA, information analysis. One example, the one real-world example in terms of marketing research is that these days the trend of marketing research is not about having survey research anymore. People use survey research quite a lot in the past, interviewing people around and also try to use the questionnaire and ask people around. What happened these days, we found experimental research having to be quite useful, experimental research. And I have been working with one company, actually it's a company of my students, and it's called Lucky Union Food. The main product is surimi, fish product, and the crab stick. Right? And it has been in the market for 25 years now, and the sale volume has been quite good. Last year, the sale volume was about 3,000 million baht, so 3 billion. Right? And the product has been sold around the world, right? The crab stick. And then it is in a 7-Eleven as well. And then the 7-Eleven got this offer. The offer was, we can put our crab stick product in 3 places. We need to choose one out of the 3. The first is imagine 7-Eleven, right? The refrigerator. So with all the sausages, so the sausage parts. So we can put our crab stick there. The crab stick looks quite just like the sausage anyway, and we can put it right there, it's fine, right? If you view crab stick as your snack, then you can put it right there if you like, right? What else? You can put it at the bottom of the refrigerator with the boiled egg and all the healthy products. So the healthy product will be down here, and you can put the crab stick in there, in that part as well, right? And the last part that we can actually choose is the Japanese food part. So the sausage, the healthy part, and the Japanese food part, which part should be the best? Which part that we should go for? So that's just the normal question that it popped up in one meeting. And there is the offer from 7-Eleven, and we need to make decision. In the past, it was just in the healthy parts with the egg, the boiled egg. So, what's your recommendation? Which one is the best place to go for? Which part is the best option? Japanese products. Sausage. Stay the same, put it right there with the egg. People got to be familiar with it anyway. So put it right there. So what's your recommendation? What's my recommendation? In a meeting, please. Right, it depends on how we want to present the product, right? If you would like to present a product as a Japanese product, as a Japanese food, put it right there with the Japanese product. If you would like to present it as a healthy product, why not put it in the same place, right? If it is a snack, the sausage might help, right? So
It's about the eye level as well, because the behaviors of the consumer, it is not in your eye level. Consumer might tend to overlook it. The healthy food down the bottom is very rarely to be seen unless that they are really paying for it.
right.
So sausage or Japanese are really more high level in 7-Eleven.
Right, so your eyesight, right? So put it right here, it helps, right? So it helps in that way. So, thank you. What else? If you have to choose one, which part you would that you like to go for? If you think we should go for the Japanese food part. Please raise your hand. Japanese food part, okay. So, how about the sausage part? Sausage, okay. So if you think it should be in the same place anyway, raise your hand. No one? 1, 2, fine. So, I don't know. And you don't really know. No one knows. And we can come up with many arguments without information. So it's time to gather some information. And then we actually hired one company, it's actually Nelson, right? And it's costly, it's fine, because it's a critical decision. It's such a good opportunity that 7-Eleven offer us the opportunity to go for any places that we like. So why not hire Nelson? And in general, we can go for just the questionnaire. That doesn't make sense. Because the customer might not know exactly what happened, right? And then the information might not be valid at all. So how can we do? So we discussed a lot with Nelson, and Nelson offered and actually recommended to go for experimental research design. So we mock up 7-Eleven in one room with a refrigerator, put everything in there, ask one subject to go into the room and go to the refrigerator with some amount of money. That amount of money should be equal to the average spending of each person and each customer of 7-Eleven, right? To control the spending. Then we ask them one by one to go into the room and go for anything that they liked. And what we found, the worst place to go for Japanese food. The worst place is interesting by itself. We can come up with lots of arguments to support that we would like to be there because we feel we should be there. Right? No, we should not be there. People might not even see the crab stick at all. How come? Because they look at the Japanese products, the Japanese food, once they happen to be hungry. With the rice, onigiri, and many other things, it's fine. It will make them full already. So without going for any snacks anymore. So it should not be there. Second best, the healthy food. Put it right there, go look at it and see the crab stick, and many people actually go for the eggs. Why? Comparing the egg with the crab stick, for healthy people, they love the egg more. That's what happened in general. And then once we put the crab stick next to sausages, we found the opportunity for sales happened to be a lot better. Why? It's snack for Thai customers, and then once it's snack, and many times it's for kids, right? Your kids. Then sausages got this kind of bad reputation in terms of health. Then it's better to go for something else which is just right next to it, and it really helps. Right? So, and we found it's worth it to spend quite a lot of money to understand this kind of behavior. Right? And then we made the decision to go for the sausage part, and it helps better the business of our company. Right? So this is what happened with the MIS. Right? It helps you to understand your customer exactly if you got a good research in place. Right? And you cannot go for the ID internal database at all. You cannot go for the marketing intelligence. You need to actually conduct a research to help in this case. Right? So it's step by step and just to let you understand what really happened over here. Right? So that's the point. So what else from Ajahn Putali's class? Anything else from Ajahn Putali's class? Sorry. Research methodology. Let me take a look at it a bit. Okay, she talked about it. Alright. She mentioned quite a lot though. So problem, research question, research objective, source of data, secondary data, primary data, and then she talked about many other things, right? So wonderful. Should you remember everything? You can actually remember things. It helps. Sometimes it's the terminology that you need you need some kind of knowledge. Once you happen to be in a meeting room and people talk about sampling unit, you know exactly what it is, right? So people talk about how many people that we need to actually recruit for the marketing research, right? And she said 300 to 500, right? Sometimes you got this kind of rule of thumb and it helps, right? So, but in general, I won't ask you to come up with the research design. It's not actually the class of marketing research. What you need to understand is this kind of thing. So the overview of using marketing information system and understand a little bit about the steps of using each tool. Right? So that's the point. But Ajahn Putali talks a lot about the research design. Okay. So just to give you the recap of the research design. In general, in terms of marketing research, once again, this won't be in your exam. It's not fair to talk about something today and having the exam just next week. Right? But what I have to tell you is that I would like to actually go through the marketing research design again, just for your benefits in terms of the real world. For marketing research, you need 4 steps. It depends on the author of many books, but in general, if you combine everything together, marketing research got 4 steps anyway. So objective setting, research plan, research implementation, and research report. So you set up the objective, and then you come up with a plan to do marketing research, and then you implement the plan step by step. I think it makes sense, and you got the research report at the end. In the real world, people talked about 3 kinds of objective. Exploratory research, descriptive research, and causal research. If you happen to hear of these terms, what does it mean? It means they are going to run exploratory research for you. It means it's all about the question what and who. So what will happen? And who did it? If someone talks about descriptive research, it means they try to answer the question of how. And then it's causal research. It's why, where is the why question? But in general, in the meeting room with the research agency, they talk a lot about research plan. That's the reason why Ajahn Kunli mentioned many terms. For the research plan, two types and two sources of information. I think we talked about it already. Secondary and primary. If you actually collect the data by yourself and use it for the first time, it is primary or secondary. If you collect the data by yourself and use it for the first time, so use it for the first time, no one used it before, so it's primary. So the term is primary, right? And then if it is data from someone else, then it's secondary. Primary and secondary. And for the primary sources, you have to come up with 4 parts. Research approach, contact method, sampling plan, and research instrument. And there are 3 types of research approaches: observation, survey, and experiments. Observation is observing people. Survey, interview, or give using questionnaires to survey. And experiments, we just mentioned Carney Krapstik, that's the experiments, right? There are 4 types of contact methods there. So how can you contact your samples? In the past, telephone. Then we have mail, so snail mail. Personal. So you yourself, or you actually hire someone to walk around, so personal. And the final one, online. Which one is best? Which one is the best?
Up to the situation.
Sorry?
Up to the situation.
Oh, sorry.
Up to the situation.
Yeah, up to the situation, so it depends. This really depends. If it is something that you really need to speak, online might help. In terms of cost, online is the best. In terms of validity, personal might help, right? So you yourself walk around and understand exactly what it is, and it helps in terms of explaining the questions as well. Right? So it really depends. In terms of sampling plan, we you need to understand, you need to know the term sample unit, sample size, and sampling procedure. So what does it mean by sample unit? So who to be surveyed? Whom to be surveyed? So who? Sample size, how many? And sampling procedure, how? Randomized or not? So if you hear of this kind of terms, then you know exactly what they're talking about. And then you need to specify instruments. 2 types of questionnaire and digital device. Just to give you the summary of research plan, and then you know exactly what it is, right? So, but in the real world, can we use observation, and which situation that we should use observation for the approach? So we talked about experimentally, and you got to see the survey all around. How about observation? In which situation that you need to use observation? Sometimes if it happens and you just don't want to actually go into the situation and put some new variables there, so you just observe it, right? So any specific types of that situation, or any specific situation that you need to go for observation. Sorry. Yeah, it is possible. In some situation, you need to use observation. If your subject cannot answer the question using questionnaires, right? Kids. If you would like to see them play with the toys, what you need to do is to let them play with the toy and then you observe it, right? Put them into the room full of toys and see what happens, right? Metal, the owners of Barbies use this kind of research all the time. So as observation, and what they found, very interesting. So which parts of Barbies going to be the most important factor for kids? Hair. So you know exactly that. Alright. So hair. So longer hair costs more. Which is this fine, but the color of hair as well. The color of the hair. Kids loves one color better. So it's any kind of colors, but one color is better for kids, right? And it's interesting, by understanding this kind of behavior, the metal increases the price of Barbie with one color of hair. One hair color costs more. It's interesting, if you take a look at the cost, many colors should cost more, but the price of one hair color costs more. Because it's not what happened inside, it's not your cost, it's customer value. Kids found many colors on your head, on people's head, ugly for some reason. I don't really know. That's from the observation. What else? Colgate once use observation and make things better. So in terms of the toothpaste, right? They actually observed people and found the length of toothpaste is nothing. So no one actually pay attention to, the length of toothpaste is everything. But the width of toothpaste is nothing. No one actually pay attention to the width of toothpaste, but the length. So what should you do as a marketer? This, for me, quite unethical, but it's fine.
No wider.
Right, enlarging the hole. Right? So it's not the width, it's the length. So if people pay attention to the length, if you enlarge the hole, then people will use more without noticing it. And then you can sell more toothpaste. And that's happened. That's from observation. Of course, no one can answer this question in the questionnaire. It's from the observation indeed. That's from the real world. So I try to link what you've learned to some real world cases. So I hope it makes you understand more about what really happened in the class. So that's the point of talking about the MIS here. And how about the consumer behavior part? Just to wrap everything up. Just, you met with Ajahn quickly, but I will be the one who actually grade all of the exam papers. So we should be on the same page. Consumer behavior analysis. I went to the class and I remember she got the workshop for you. Okay, she got the workshop for you. But that's not the most important part. The most important part for the CB is SR theory. Stimuli responses theory. And the most important part of the SR theory is in the middle, black box. You remember the black box, right? Two elements in the black box. So what happened for the SR theory is like this. If you actually give people discounts, what happened? If you give people discounts, what happened? Some of them can be happy, some of them might be curious about what happened. Some of them might buy, some of them might not buy anymore. So what happened in here? So the stimuli is discounts. There are many types of responses. And then we found there should be something in the middle, and that's what we call black box. Black box. And two elements in the black box. They are buyer characteristic and buying decision process, right? That's what we learned from Ajahn Lee. Buyer characteristic and buying decision process. And for buyer characteristic, there are 4 factors affecting buyer characteristics. From the broader view to a narrower view. The broadest one, culture. Then it's social, personal, and psychological. So from the broader view to the very narrow view inside your head, right? Culture, social, personal, and psychological. It should be in your slide, right? She haven't talked about it. Oh. I have more. So she focused on the notion of psychology, just to make it clear. It's fine to focus on the psychology, but there are something else in there. So it's SR theory. Stimuli, black box, and responses. Two types of stimuli, marketing, others. And for marketing, it's the 4 Ps. There are many types of responses. They are in your slides already. And then in the black box, 2 things. Buyer characteristic and buying decision process. And for buyer characteristics, 4 factors affecting buyer characteristics from the broader view to the narrower view. Culture, the broadest one. Of course, culture affects buyer characteristics. Social, so family matter, status, role in the society, so it affects buyer characters, right? Then it's personal, age, gender, and something inside your mind. That's what we call psychology. And then she mentioned quite a lot about psychology here. Motivation, perception, learning, attitude, belief. You see? So I try to focus more on this part, but it is fine. Just to let you know, there are 3 important things for buyer characteristics as well. As you mentioned about buying decision process, 5 steps, right? From need recognition. Okay.
Hierarchy of needs.
Let me give you the recount of this what is important. So, besides characteristics, it's buying decision process, and there are 5 steps in the buying decision process. It's normal and it's very general. Just think about you yourself, and it's going to be just fine, right? But with the buying decision process in place, you understand people a bit more. So people got 5 steps in terms of their decision process, in terms of buying things. First thing first, need recognition. So you recognize needs. Need recognition. Then once you got to have your need recognition in place, you search for information. So information search. That's the second step, information search. Then you got lots of information in hand, so you evaluate the alternatives in place. So there are many alternatives, right? Then you evaluate the alternatives. So evaluation of alternatives, that's the third step, evaluation of alternatives. And then you make a purchase. So purchase, that's the 4th one. And the 5th step, post-purchase behavior. After purchasing, you got what we call post-purchase behavior as well. 5 steps. Over there. Okay. Good enough then. Okay. She called it purchase decision. Complex decision is fine, it's decision making anyway, so you've learned on it already, so don't know about the term, but you need to know. So 5 steps. Need recognition. It's in your slides already. It is fine. Think about it naturally. You don't need to remember it. It's going to be with you all the time. Need recognition, information served. Evaluation of alternative. Purchase and post-purchase. What do we need to learn about the process here? So the point in the real world is, first thing first, we cannot create needs. We can actually encourage people to recognize needs. It is important. We cannot create needs. We can only try to let our customer to recognize their needs. How come it's important? We found from the research that for kids, they need 2 glasses of milk a day, or 2 glasses of malt a day. Many years ago, Ovaltine, the malt drink, right, got this advertisement asking one celebrity, junior celebrity in Thailand, to let the market know it's not just 1 glass, you need 2 glasses for better health for your kids. So 2 glasses please, 2 glasses please. Right? And then the sales of the product increased 80% that year. Because the junior celebrity got to be very famous, it's not loud song many years ago. You remember it? It's a classic one because the product got to be just very stable in terms of its sales. And it's 80% increase that year, just to let people recognize the needs of 2 glasses a day, not just 1 glass. For your kids, it helps better the health of the kids, right? So, what next? About the next year campaign, what should we do? Ask for 4. Do not go for 3, you go for 8, so 8 glasses a day. It helps. So what happens if you ask people to go for 8 glasses a day? It's impossible, people hate you. So you can only let them know exactly the needs, and you cannot create the needs. You can let them recognize the needs. So the real needs of them is not just drinking malt, but it's good health of the kids. And from the research paper, 2 glasses is fine. 2 glasses matters is fine. 2 glasses are going to be enough for better health. Do not go for something else, so you cannot create needs. Right? So that need recognition tells you something that you cannot create needs. You just let people recognize the needs. What else? The last bit. After purchasing, many marketers stop right there. And from this simple buying decision process, we found you should not stop right there at the purchase situation. So you need to move further a little bit to manage the post-purchase behavior of your customers. So after purchasing, you got the sales volume in place. What to do next? Try to manage after sales a little bit more. For example, try to actually say thank you to your customer from time to time and convince them to come back and purchase again. And sometimes you can actually let them tell their friends about the products in many ways. So the marketer will not stop at purchasing. We got the opportunity to do something after purchase as well. So keep in mind, do not stop at purchasing. But we need to have the purchase over there as well, just to let you know that something can happen during customer purchase. at the POP or point of sales or point of purchase, sometimes people change their mind. And we found more than 50% of customers change their mind at the point of purchase. Right? Nescafe. You like to go for Nescafe. Nescafe. And then you walk into top supermarkets, right? And then you're going to buy Nescafe. And then you found on the shelf, it's Dunkin' Donuts coffee, right? New Dunkin' Donuts coffee give out 80% discount right there. At the end of the day, what you got? Dunkin' Donuts coffee, right? It's something at the point of purchase. Many times, marketers try to do something right before the purchase quite a lot and forget to do something at the point of purchase. And the customer got stolen right there. Your customer got stolen right there, right? So that's purchase. Once again, what I try to do is to give you the recap of what happened in Ajahn Goodley's class to make sure that we are on the same page and try to link something to the real world situation and let you see the usage of the knowledge that you got. Right? That's the point here. So I think it's the most important part of consumer behavior. So the black box theory. So 2 elements in the box. That's it. Please.
Could you explain the attributes, benefit, and value model? Because I was confident in the value part.
So which one?
The value part. I think it's the value
Right. So attribute, benefit, and value. Attribute, benefit, and value. What do you think? What's the takeaway? So attribute, benefit, and value. Sorry? Right. Right. Right, the same question. What's the difference between benefit and value? So what's the difference between benefit and value? From what I heard that night, so in general, the definition of benefit and value can be different, right? But what I heard that night, so she mentioned many types of benefits, right? So how many types of benefits? 3. So the first one is functional benefit. The second one is emotional benefit, and the third one is financial benefit. Financial benefit. Sometimes people talk about social benefits. And I said social benefit can be about emotional benefit. And if you combine everything together, we found just functional and emotional. Financial benefit can be functional, right? So to make it easy, sometimes we found only 2 types of benefits. Functional and emotional, that's benefit. And then you got value. So what's the attribute? It's for the product itself. You can talk about tangible things, right? The attribute. And then you talk about what you've got. It's clear. If it is the product itself, attributes, right? And then it's not actually just packaging. It's the color, the shape, and many other things, right? The product of the service itself. Then what you've got, benefits, right? And then once the benefit, you've got many types of benefits, you form the image of the brand, and the image of the brand is value. The image of the brand. To make it easier for you to understand the term, do not call it value, because value is very, very intangible. Right? So the image of the brand, so what you have at the end. So you combine the functional and emotional benefits, and then you got the image of the brand. So that's a value.
So can we conclude that the value is the
deeper,
in terms of the consumer psychological feelings.
right,
Can be something like
right.
Can you give us an example of like a real routine?
How about the bubble tea you mentioned that day? So, you talked about the bubble tea, right? The bubble tea, right? So, and you can present, you could actually present it, and then to say this is wonderful without you understanding it. So, what's the benefit is the benefit is clear, right? The benefits is clear. So, what are the benefits? Emotional benefits and functional benefits of bubble tea. Right, refreshing, functional or emotional. It's functional, right? Refreshing is quite functional. What else? Emotional.
Emotional is just a feeling that you just want to fulfill your third, water your mind, but for the part of value, I think it's the brand itself.
The value is the brand itself.
So for the bubble tea example, any bubble tea would fulfill the benefit, but for the brand, it's specific brand.
Right. What's the value that you talked about that night?
It's like specific Chinese tea or food specific for that brand. So that's the value.
You got it. Okay. Yeah. So the functional benefits is refreshing. Emotional benefits is good for hearts. ดีต่อใจ heart and mind, right? And the value, it's great benefits from nature, from Taiwan. So that's the brand. So I think what she tried to mention last night is about the brands, right? So it's more about. But for me, if you think it's difficult and if you cannot make it clear, I have to say sorry about it. It's useless. If you right, so please.
But can you give an example of for you would be the value of bubble tea?
Sorry.
Can you give an example for like the your opinion would be?
For me, refreshing can be both functional benefits and value. And if you have the three parts and you cannot do anything about it, there's no point to have this kind of thing in place in your company, right? So what I have to tell you exactly from your MBA class and your MBA life, you're going to go through many tools, and you don't really have to use all the tools. Brand itself, so in terms of branding, I have to say, people talk about brandings in many ways, and they'll try to invent new terms all the time. We don't have to try to invent new terms all the time. Brand DNA, brand essence, brand elements, brand core, brand mantra, right? Brand spirits, brand portfolio, brand position, brand promise, brand momentum, and many other things. And what happened in the real world? People try to invent new terms and try to own it because it makes them famous. So I have to say something right here, and in the real world, each company tries to come up with their own term, right? With the normal term, they cannot sell it. Each marketing agency tries to come up with. We got what we call brand honeycomb. We got what we call brand positioning with momentum. We got what we call, and forget about positioning, it's brand positioning with momentum, because you need momentum in your brand positioning. It sounds very nice, right? What we need is not actually emotion, it's senses. So it's not it's not emotional benefit, it's senses, right? It sounds very nice, right? What do we need? It's not actually brand DNA, it's brand spirit. So what's different between brand spirit and brand DNA? I don't know. Once I read through things, it seems like it's not actually the core part, it's just the packaging part. And it is just unclear. And I have to say, and the conclusion for me, sorry about it, I try to make it different, but it's not different at the end. So value and benefit, especially emotional benefit, can be quite the same. Value and benefit. So value is what you got from your product and service anyway. And if you put it right there, you can make it emotional benefits, right? So to make it clear, attribute benefit or attribute value. I think it might be better that way. What we cannot change is what over here. So I try to pinpoint some fundamental things, which is actually principle. What does it mean by principle? Principle is something that fundamental that you cannot change that easily. STP is STP. Segmentation, targeting, positioning. Right? Even the 4 Ps, people talked about it in many ways. It's wrong because it's our inside out and outside in. We mentioned about it. We need to change 4 Ps to 4 Cs, right? And if you really use 4 Ps, is that feeling wrong? I have to say no. It's hard. If you can do your job and make it happen, right? Many people said it's not actually 4 Ps, you need 7 Ps, and these days some say you need 14 Ps. Wait a minute. I have to decide all the 14 Ps, and I have to communicate to all the executives about the 14 Ps. Impossible. Fewer is better. And applying that kind of thing, fewer is better, to the diagrams of Ajahn Gundli, we can make change, right? So it's not actually attributes and benefits. It's actually attribute, benefit, and value. If you cannot find the differences between value and emotional benefit that much, just go for attributes and benefits. It should be just fine, right? The tools is for you to use to better the business anyway. And if it makes you feel the business is more difficult and it's just difficult to communicate throughout your company, you cannot use it. From my branding experience, I have to say you can go for anything: brand mantra, brand spirit, brand essence, brand elements, brand DNA, brand portfolio, or anything else. But at the end of the day, you only need 2 things: something that you need to use inside, and one single message that you love to use to communicate your brand. So something inside, not more than 5 elements, right? And then one single message to communicate your brand outside. You cannot communicate 5 things outside. It's going to be hectic, right? And confusing, right? But you need to combine all the 5 elements, all the 4 or the 3 elements inside the company, and use the single message to communicate it. For SCG, 4 elements inside: excellence, fairness, right? What else? People value. So they believe in people, their own people. And the final one, social betterment. Try to make the society better, right? And the way to communicate sustainability. So if it is excellent, if it is fairness, if it is about people value, and if it is about society benefits, if you combine all the four things together and make it clear one single message, sustainability. There are many other things inside the company, it's fine, whatever, but at the end of the day, the really core brand happen to be about the four core value and one positioning, and that's really it, right?
What you want to not talk about the value about the coffee.
No, the coffee is,
That help.
it's a value, for me, it can be emotional benefit, right? Right, the coffee, during my TED talk, I talked about one coffee and one cafe called Roots. So it was 2 years ago, I went to this store in Ekamai, right, and it's free. You can go there, and the owner of the company loves to talk about coffee and educate people around about coffee. Right? But it's open only on Sunday. It's holiday actually. You'll be there and walk around, educate you about the coffee, how to actually understand the coffee in details, right? The types of coffee and beans and many other things, how to actually brew it. Right, in a very nice way, and then everything is for free. You can actually taste many types of coffee for free. You can be there, use all the electricity, right? And they even offer you pastries for free. So everything is for free, and then before you go out of the cafe, you got to see the honesty box. It's a box, and you need to actually help them a bit if you like. But if you just would like to walk away, right? And I found myself 500 baht, 1,000 baht all the time. It's not just me, everyone, right? It's a clear box. I have to make it clear, so it's clear box, and everyone look at you, what happened with you, and what happened in your hand. So many times it's 100, 1,000, which is just fine. But in terms of coffee, 1,000 is quite much, right? Very much actually. It's very expensive. Coffee, 1,000 baht. But we would love him to be there and thanks him for the good deed. 1,000 should be fine. That's what I thought, right? So how come the coffee costs you 1,000 baht or 500 baht? We can call it emotional benefits or value. So value benefit and emotional benefit should be quite the same, right? I'm so sorry about it, but after a while, after the TED talk, no Roots in Ekamai anymore. The Roots coffee right now is in Tonglo, and no honesty box anymore. It's just normal coffee store. And I went there and asked, how come, what happened with the Roots in Ekamai? And people there said, I don't know what really happened. There should be something wrong. Many people came and actually drank the coffee for free and walk away. It might happen with someone who actually gave a talk publicly, and then people went there and then drank the coffee for free. And that's, I think it's me. But sorry about it. This something about consumer behavior in this market that we really need to understand. And this really happened. People take things for granted from time to time, and that's what happened. Okay. Just to let you know, it works everywhere in the world. It's what we call, in terms of pricing, we're going to actually learn about pricing later on. It's what we call pay what you want. And in terms of economic, this is just wrong. Because in terms of economics, you need to maximize your value, right? Maximize your utility. So what you need to do is to pay nothing. That's maximization of the utility that you got, right? But people pay quite a lot sometimes. So that's wrong. And that's what we call pay what you want. Sometimes if you play with people's emotion, you get a lot more money than just the normal standard pricing. Pay what you want, and sometimes people call it pay as you wish. What is a good example? Very, very good example of pay what you want. Temple. Religion matters. Right? You've got nothing in terms of function, but all the emotional matters, right? And then you pay for it a lot. Just one temple though. I skipped it. The temple in China, so it's a good temple. It's called it's good temple. It's called Long Pa Soton, Soton Temple. Soton Temple which is a good temple. Just during the Songkran period, 7 days during Songkran period this year, that's very famous one. Soton Temple, Chak Sao. Can you guess the donation during the Songkran period? How much? Altogether, the amount of donation during this 7 days of Songkran period. 100 million, more than that. More than 500 million. It's 1,700. 7 days during Songkran period, famous temple, 1,700 million. So, what's the takeaway for the first part of our class tonight? Open up temples. No cost. No variable cost, just big cost, right? That happens. It's pay what you want. But we have to discuss it later on. The second part of our semester, pricing. So the next part of our semester, we're going to talk about the 4 Ps: product, price, place, promotion. It's not just normal product, price, place, promotion kind of terminologies. But we're going to talk about strategies and new strategy, just like this. Pay what you want. We're going to talk about something interesting, and if you look at it, it is interesting. For example, in the service sector, the same product can be priced differently. The same type of room during the same nights of a hotel can be priced differently. On the same floor, the same view. Because of the booking matters. But if it is your skincare detergent, maybe, like at 7-Eleven here, Jamboree Square, and on the other side, U Center, the same type of detergent, the same brand, the same amount, and they price it differently. What happened?
The cheapest one.
You go for the cheaper, and people will take picture, post online, hate it, right? But it happened with the airline tickets. The same type of seats on the same plane, on the same day, can be priced differently. There should be something wrong there in terms of pricing, and we're going to talk about it and learn the pricing schemes. And there are many types of pricing schemes, right? Later. So I think we're on the same page now. And what we're going to do after the break, so 15-minute break again, we're going to summarize everything. And I hope you will be well prepared for your exam next week.
Thank you.
Okay, so 15 minutes break.